Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss about the topic Examination of Witnesses under Indian Evidence Act Part 1, that is from section 135 to 145. Examination of witnesses is a very important stage in all types of criminal trial. Section 311 of CRPC confers wide discretionary power on courts to summon any person as a witness or to examine any person who is present though not summoned, or recall and re-examine any person already examined when it thinks it is expedient to do so in the interest of justice. In a criminal trial, after the charges are framed, when the accused does not plead or refuses to plead guilty or claim to be tried, or he may plead guilty, but even then the judge in his discretion may not convict him and prefer to proceed with the trial. In all these cases, the judge will fix a date for examination of witnesses and if necessary issue process to compel attendance of witnesses or production of documents or other things, etc. It is the fundamental principle of criminal jurisprudence that an accused is presumed to be innocent, and therefore the burden lies on the prosecution to prove the guilt of the accused beyond reasonable doubt. Prosecution in a criminal trial first gets an opportunity to lead evidence. According to Section 3 of Indian Evidence Act, evidence means and includes all statements which the court permits or requires to be made before it by witnesses. In relation to matters of fact under inquiry, such statements are called oral evidence. And all documents including electronic records produced for the inspection of the court. Such documents are called documentary evidence. Evaluating evidence and rendering decisions is a great responsibility in criminal cases. The credibility of any witness who gives evidence as to the facts, either for prosecution or for the defense, should be material to the issue. A party can only prove facts relevant to his case, and it is only the party on whom burden lies and is bound to prove the facts. Now, let us see the meaning and definition of the term witness. A witness in a criminal trial plays a very important role in determining the fate of the case. According to Black's Law Dictionary, witness is one who sees, knows, or vouches for something, or one who gives testimony under oath or affirmation in person, or by oral or written deposition, or by affidavit. According to Bentham, witnesses are the eyes and ears of justice. According to Justice Wadhwa, a criminal case is built on the edifice of evidence that is admissible in law. For that, witnesses are required, whether it is direct evidence or circumstantial evidence. A witness is a person who has first-hand information about the happening of an event. The declaration and statement of witness are made under oath and are received as evidence. The examination of witnesses is an integral part of a criminal trial. Chapter 10, Section 135 to 165 of the Indian Evidence Act 1872 deals with examination and cross-examination of witnesses. According to Section 135 of the Indian Evidence Act, the order in which witnesses are produced and examined shall be regulated by the law and practice for the time being relating to civil and criminal procedure respectively. And in the absence of any such law, it will be by the discretion of the court. Section 136 states that a judge may ask the party who has proposed to give evidence as to how will such a fact for which the evidence has been provided be relevant to the case. Hence, the judge can question the relevancy of the fact for which the evidence is being produced, and the evidence shall only be submitted if the judge thinks that the fact will be relevant to the suit. Where relevancy of an alleged fact is dependent on another alleged fact, the latter shall be proved first. For example, if it is proposed to prove by a copy the contents of a document said to be lost, the fact that the original is lost must be proved by the person proposing to produce the copy before the copy is produced. According to section 137, there are three stages of examination of witness. That is, examination in chief, cross-examination, and re-examination. The examination of a witness by the party who calls him shall be called as his examination in chief. The examination of a witness by the adverse party shall be called his cross-examination. The examination of a witness subsequent to the cross-examination by the party who called him shall be called his re-examination. Every witness is first examined by the party who has called him. This process is called examination in chief. Section 138 provides witnesses shall be first examined in chief, then, if the adverse party so desires, cross-examined, and then, if the party calling him so desires, he will be re-examined. The object or purpose behind conducting the examination in chief is to make the witness depose to what he has been called by the party calling him to prove. In other words, the object of his examination is to get him from the witness all material facts within his knowledge relating to the party's case. It must be confined to the relevant fact, and no leading questions can be asked except with the permission of the court. According to section 137 para 2 of the Indian Evidence Act, the examination of a witness by the adverse party shall be called his cross-examination. The object of cross-examination is to test the truth of statement made by witness, to see how far his memory is reliable or what powers of observation he possesses. The witness may be asked all questions tending to test his means of knowledge, tending to expose the error of omission, contradictions, and improbabilities in his testimony, or tending to impeach his credit. The object of cross-examination are to impeach the accuracy, credibility, and general value of the evidence given in chief, to sift the facts already stated by the witnesses, to detect and expose discrepancies, or to elicit suppressed fact which will support the case of cross-examination of party. According to section 137 para 3 of the Indian Evidence Act, the examination of a witness subsequent to the cross-examination by the party who called him shall be called his re-examination. The purpose or object of re-examination is to afford to the party calling a witness an opportunity of filling in lacuna. It is accordingly confined to the explanation of matter referred to in cross-examination. It should not introduce any new matter unless the court permits, and if such permission is given, the adverse party may further cross-examine upon that matter. According to section 139 of the Indian Evidence Act, a person summoned to produce a document does not become a witness by the mere fact that he produces the document, and cannot be cross-examined unless and until he is called as a witness. According to section 140, witness to character may be cross-examined and re-examined, which means the witnesses to a party's character may be cross-examined if already examined in chief. The evidence of character is meant to assist the court in estimating the value of the evidence brought before the court through the mouth of the witness. Now, let us discuss about the important topic, that is, what is leading question under Indian Evidence Act. According to Stephen, A leading question is one which either suggests the answer desired or assumes the existence of disputed facts as to which the witness is to testify. According to Bentham, a leading question is a leading one when it indicates to the witness the real or supposed fact which the examiner expects and desires to have confirmed by the answer. According to Section 141 of the Indian Evidence Act, any question suggesting the answer which the person putting it wishes or expects to receive is called a leading question. The purpose of an examination in chief is that questioning of the witness by the party who has called him to enable the witness to tell to the court by his own mouth the relevant facts of the case. A question should be put to him about the relevant facts, and then he should be given the fullest freedom to answer the question out of the knowledge he possesses. The answer should not be suggested. The question should not be framed as to suggest the answer also. The question should not carry an inbuilt answer in it. In other words, in case of examination in chief, the party is not allowed to ask the leading question. Any such question which suggests to the witness the answer which he is expected to make is known as a leading question. For example, it is relevant to tell to the court as to where a witness lives. The question to be asked to him should be, "Where do you live?" And then he may tell where he lives. If the question is framed like, "Do you live in such and such place?" the witness will pick up the hint and simply answer yes or no. This is a leading question. It puts the answer in the mouth of the witness, and all that he has to do is to throw it back. If we take some more example, "Is your name so and so? Do you reside in such and such a place? Are you not in service of such and such person? Have you not lived with him for so many years?" From all these examples, it is clear that under this, from every sort of information may be conveyed to the witness in disguise. It may be used to prepare him to give the desired answers to the questions about to be put to him. The examiner, he pretends ignorance and is asking for information, but in reality, he is giving answer instead of receiving it. Leading questions should not be asked in an examination in chief or in re-examination except with the permission of the court. The court shall permit leading question as to matters which are introductory or undisputed or which have in its opinion already been sufficiently proved. Section 143 of the Indian Evidence Act provides that leading question may be asked in cross-examination. According to Section 144, any witness may be asked while under examination whether any contract, grant, or other disposition of property as to which he is giving evidence was not contained in a document. And if he says that it was, or if he is about to make any statement as to the contents of any document which in the opinion of the court ought to be produced, the adverse party may object to such evidence being given until such document is produced or until facts have been proved which entitle the party who called the witness to give secondary evidence of it. A witness may give oral evidence of statements made by other persons about the contents of documents if such statements are in themselves relevant facts. For example, the question is whether A assaulted B. C deposes that he heard A saying to D, "B wrote a letter accusing me of theft, and I will take revenge on him." This statement is relevant as showing A's motive for assault, and evidence may be given of it, though no other evidence is given about the letter. Section 145 of the Indian Evidence Act provides that a witness may be cross-examined as to previous statements made by him in writing or reduced into writing and relevant to matters in question without such writing being shown to him or being proved. But if it is intended to contradict him by the writing, his intention must, before the writing can be proved, be called to those parts of it which are to be used for the purpose of contradicting him. Students, please follow my next video for the remaining sections under the topic Examination of Witnesses. Thank you.